Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Alrighty. I have placed a copy of the macromolecule chart in the module. So the completed chart is now in the module. So you need to take a look at that. We are finished with it. We are reviewing today, which means there's a test on Thursday. And since I am giving you my copy of the macromolecule chart, there really is not a point to me collecting yours, but you should have one of your own. But make sure that you go through, because I've added some things. I may not have added everything, but I think you should have some things up here. I didn't add everything that should have been in the first two. Either that or they didn't save. But make sure you go back and let me open mine. Um, I don't want to download this PDF. All right, but make sure that you have something other than just the made of in the first two boxes and first three boxes. So you should have all this information. This is what we did last class. So you need to make sure that you have all of that from the last class because the other boxes you should already have. This is in the module, in the module, in the module. Let me see who else is coming. So I'll leave that there. And then what we're going to do is the review page. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at that. Okay. Kingsley, got your message. And yeah, if you can log into Canvas and then you could at least look at what needs to be done. All right, so I was in Canvas and let me go back and do that again. All right, so if you go, so I was looking at the macromolecule chart, and then I went back one space, one page in the module. And that took me to the Wrap It Up review page that's at the end of macromolecules. You have a choice of PDF or Word form. I would do the Word one because so that you can write on it. I don't want to do that because it's going to download it for me, but I would download the Word version of it so that you can write on it. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at this. Make sure you familiarize yourself with all the vocabulary. And then I want you to complete this. Now, this one, rather than the macromolecule chart, I will ask you to submit. Okay? So you're going to submit this before the test or shortly thereafter the test. But I'll go ahead and get started working on that while we're waiting. Everybody's not here yet. Yeah, we're missing like good 6 people. All right, so go ahead and get started working on that. We're not waiting for them. They're late. So again, use your chart. Use the chart. The chart is complete. Use your chart. The 4 elements are the ones that I had on the chart with you: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. Those are the 4 main ones. And sometimes we have phosphorus, sometimes we have sulfur, sometimes you have other ones. Those are the 4 main ones. So I've just answered question number 1 for you. Now they're asking for 4 macromolecules. We did 5 because we included water. They did the 4, so they're asking you for the 4 organic ones. So that's the first 4. And then again, use your chart. What is the monomer of the first 4 macromolecules on your chart? Explain how the structure of water. So here they talk about water. So again, if you go back to your chart, again, the chart can give you all the answers that you ever want to know. You wouldn't have to look at Canvas if you didn't want to. Oops. All right, water. We talked about water having is polar. All right, let me explain that one again, since everybody else isn't coming, but they're late, so they'll have to look it up themselves. We said, you notice if you, let me see if I can't zoom this one. Can I open this? Actually, I need to download my own. Didn't really want to download it, but we'll do that so I can make it bigger. All right, let me make this bigger. All right, if you notice on the water molecule, now this is a PDF, so I can't move anything else around. It has the two hydrogens on our Mickey Mouse picture. Remember, the structure of the water molecule always looks like Mickey Mouse. You have two hydrogens sitting on an oxygen molecule. Notice they have plus signs in them. So this is what makes it a polar molecule, that the hydrogens are up at the top, and that's the plus side of the molecule. The oxygen, notice it has a lot of negative signs on it. So that's the negative side of the molecule. So again, when you think about polar, think of North and South Pole. So you have a positive end and a negative end. That's exactly how you answer that question. All right, so again, I've just answered that question for you. So make sure you explain it just like that. Okay? It is a polar molecule because it's got a positive end. The hydrogens are the positive end of the molecule, and the oxygen is the negative end of the molecule. All right, that's that. So again, that's question number 4. And then you need to go ahead and look at the rest of these. We talked about that one. You probably need to go back to the chemistry. That's your vocabulary. You need to know what capillary action is, why we call it a universal solvent, and what is surface tension. So if you go back to all right, if you go back to where we okay, right there. All right, so if you go back to the challenge, which I hope you did, you'll get answers there. You also have, these are the properties of water. These are all vocabulary words. So if you go back to the first page, they will tell you what they mean. So surface tension, I was explaining to you how this little trick with getting the water, a lot of drops of water on the surface of a penny, that's due to surface tension. Because the molecules are attracted to each other, they hold on until they get to a point they can't hold on anymore, then surface tension breaks and the water spills over. But until then, the water will just keep beating up, forming a nice big bubble on the face of the penny until surface tension gives way. But again, vocabulary, macromolecules overview. All right, so see, they have 5 here where they have water. The reason water is, again, is not boxed off like the rest because the first 4 are organic. They all other. Oh, why don't they have a list of vocabulary words like all the other chapters do? They don't. Okay. They should. You don't have that. And that's the last page. All right. There's not a vocabulary. So that one you'll have to look up the vocabulary word for that. That is unusual. First page is always a list of vocabulary words. This unit is a little strange. Okay. I think what I told you that you should have in your first box are the things here that under function, you should have the proteins are the building blocks of tissues. Let me see if I can't add that to my chart right now because it is a PDF. That's also a PDF. Okay. But that's up here, up here, up here. That should go in this box up here. That's what its function is. So we have our examples. We have our monomer, which is an amino acid. Let me pull mine up the way I want to pull it up. Now that'll come up as a macromolecule as well. This is why I did it in Word, so that we can adjust it as needed. And in a minute, I'm going to stop talking and give you a few minutes to work on. Mm-hmm. Yes, Brandon, you may. All right, open. There we go. Took its sweet time. I'm going to close that one. Oh, see, I put it on mine. All right, so the one that's saved in yours is, okay, I thought I had filled in all the boxes. So take a look at this one. And let me see if I can't replace the one that's in yours. All right, this is the one I wrote on. So make sure, which is different to the one that's uploaded. So I will change that one so that it looks like this one as soon as it finishes loading. name that. So the monomer is called amino acid. It is made up of an amine group, a variable group, and that means that's where they tend to add the extra nitrogen or something else, but it always has an amine group and a carboxyl group and then something else. And notice that in the main part, it's always carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. The nitrogen will be on that variable group. All right, so make sure you have that. Again, I'm going to make sure that I upload this version for you. Yeah, because I think I added some things to this that were not on your original chart. All right, so let me make that a little smaller. Get it all in one, can't get it all on one page, but oops, that's too small. Almost. All right, so work on that. Work on, give you a few minutes to work on the vocabulary, the review page, and then I'll get back with you to see how you're doing. So I'm going to take attendance right now. So I'm just going to shop sharings, and I will change the one that's uploaded to your page to this one. I think I uploaded yours before. I had actually gone through and reviewed with the other class. Okay. All right, so again, you should download that worksheet so that you can write on it, because that's what you're going to have to send back to me. I haven't created the folder yet for the study guide. I will do that in just a second. It was because I changed my mind on what you were going to submit. So give me 1 second to finish attendance. All right, Troy, you logged in, but I don't know. Jayla was here now. Now she's not scheduled on the page, folks. Are all right, and Kingsley, I hope you're still logged in. All right, give me, I'll let you know as soon as the folder is open, but uh, don't just do it to be doing it. This is a review page. So make sure you review it because test is on Thursday. So we are uploading this instead of the macromolecule chart. And as I'm giving you a macromolecule chart, in the modules. I want you to give me back the chart that I gave you. And it is due with when the test is. So the test is Thursday. It's due by Friday. Actually, let me put a link to that here as well. Okay, so I have adjusted the copy of the macromolecule chart that's in your module now to be the completed one. I also have a all right, so the macromolecule is there. And if you go to your home page, home, to-do list, to do. There is a assignment tab for when you finish doing the worksheet that you can add that. I also put the link to the question, but the questions are already in. I have to adjust this for the way you can. Okay, let me go back. We don't want it like that. We want upload a file. So you have that option as well. All right, now let's look. All right, there you go. All right, so now you can complete the worksheet and then upload it as a file. So again, that is on your to-do list. If it's not there, refresh your page because it wasn't there when you logged on. So refresh your page. All righty, so I'll give you another few minutes to look at that. Again, don't just do it for doing its sake. You do have a test on Thursday, so this is review. So review the macromolecule chart and review the answers to this. If you have a question about any of these, most definitely type it in the chat. Few already, so you shouldn't have a question about those. Again, progress reports are available, I think, tomorrow or Thursday. So you want to make sure that you have all of your assignments in. Gonna share eventually. Okay. I did want to touch on a couple of these. Um, I did say that I wasn't going to ask too much about the pH scale. You don't have to draw a simple scale, do it from 0 to 14 and just label one side acids and the other side base and neutral in the middle. You don't have to add all the words, examples to it, but that's what you need to know about the question number 6. So when it says draw the pH scale, that's 3 things you need to do. You need to label it, draw an arrow like a timeline, start from 0 to 14, acids on the left, neutral in the middle, and bases on the right. That's all you need for that question. You don't have to add all the little, because that's all it's asking you for. It's not asking you for examples. So just put in a simple timeline, neutral in the middle. And the thing to remember about the neutral part is that water is neutral. Water needs to be neutral. We don't want the proteins to be too acidic because, and then you have this other word down here, denature. My page won't go. Question number, I just saw it. Where'd it go? Yeah, number 19. What is denaturization? All right, denaturization, remember, is when the proteins and enzymes, steroids all have to function at a particular temperature for them to function properly. When we have exceeded that temperature, they lose their structure. When they lose their structure, they don't work very well. Later on, when we talk about proteins, we're going to talk about a lock and key theory. And proteins actually fit on certain surfaces like a lock and a key. And when you denature it, it loses its shape, so it no longer fits the lock. So they don't work. So that's what you want to say about denaturization. Again, enzyme activity, acids, and temperature for that one, number 18. Energy carrying molecules, we say carbohydrates is definitely, that's its main function. And then we have lipids. Lipids have a lot of energy because it's a very big molecule. Remember that. Okay, so that one's going to be carbohydrates and lipids. All right, so I just did 18, 19, and 20 for you. And we talked about number 6. And then down here, you just need to make sure that these are good test questions asked of true and false. All right. Some of these are very specific to the unit, but we didn't talk about those. I tell you what, let's make sure that you have done 1 to 20, and then make sure that you can skip the first true false. Don't do that. I'm not holding you accountable for that. But I am holding you accountable for label each statement with the matching macromolecule and how does an enzyme work. Don't worry about, I wish I could put an X through it, but don't worry about the first true false. Okay? If you've done it already, wonderful. If you, that'll be extra. But you're only responsible for the label, the statement, and how enzymes work. Got that? Don't worry about the true false at all. In fact, let me go ahead and put that on the instructions. Uh-uh. I think whoever made the review page made it as a general page. All right, there you go. Any question about any of the other ones that you might be struggling with answering? You can use the chart on the test. Under protein, let's see. I'm going to add this to the chart. Since we added it for carbohydrates, so we did add that proteins function best at a specific temperature. What was I just about to add? Oh, I'll put it over here. Uh, okay, I added that to this chart. You added to yours because it's not going to be on the one that's in the all right, so I added this. Enzymes end in ASE. So one of the questions that I told you didn't have to answer was about that works on lipids. A protease is a or galactase, glutase, they all work on, those are enzymes that work on those particular carbohydrates. So all enzymes are proteins and they all end in ASE, depending on, and they are named after whatever it is they're working on. Okay. So in other words, a protease does not work on a lipase. It does not work on lipids. They are unique to whatever it is they're working on. Like I said, it's a lock and key. A particular enzyme works on a particular substance. It fits that one. If it doesn't fit, it's not going to work. Okay. All right. So add that to your chart. because it's not going to be on the one that's in the module right now. All right, so we have ASE for enzymes. We have OSE to name a sugar. So like you see over here, glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose. Remember, sucrose is table sugar. Test question, test question, test question. And what else do we want to know? Okay, monosaccharide. So the monomer. So they asked you to name the monomers. The monomer for a protein is an amino acid. The monomer for a carbohydrate is a monosaccharide. The monomer for a lipid is a fatty acid. The monomer for a nucleic acid is a nucleotide. So that answered that question if you didn't have that already done. And technically the monomer for water, even though they didn't ask you, is H2O. That is the monomer. Is a set structure, H2O. The unique thing about water is it exists in all three states of matter. You can have liquid water, you can have solid water, you can have gas water. Nucleic acids are the only ones that are not food. They are found in the nucleus. Where do I have it on here somewhere? They are found in the nucleus of the cells. Make sure you have that. Okay. They give the instructions for making proteins, but they are not something that you would find in a food item. They are found in the nucleus of the cell. All right. Three fatty acids and a glycerol molecule. So make sure you look at that. There are three fatty acids and one glycerol make a triglyceride. That's the polymer. Know your examples. Know that the thing that's unique about lipids is they do not dissolve in water. Water is called a universal solvent because most things dissolve in water, except fats and waxes and oils. But almost everything else dissolves in water. Things float on water because they are less dense than water. Less dense means that the molecules are not packed so tightly together. What else do I want to say? So again, lipids and carbohydrates, their job is to provide energy. You can get a whole, because a lipid is a larger molecule, you get more energy from a lipid than you would carbohydrate, but the body's going to work on what they can get real quick. So quick energy is always going to be your carbohydrate. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, we got a few minutes left, like 6 or 7 minutes left. Again, make sure you answer everything on the review page except the true false and submit that. Test is Thursday. And I see no one has turned one in yet, so you must still be working on it, but it's due, it's due. Their test is Thursday, so make sure you not only complete it, but then use it to review. So that's what a review sheet is for. It's for you to review, not to just do for a grade. You need to know what's on the paper. Any questions? Any questions? All right. Well, if you have no questions for me, you are free to log out. And I'll see you on Thursday.